Hello, everybody. Welcome back to Delve or Die. Today we are going to start with episode 3 for Sins of the Father, and basically continuing on with Valzen Dusk, his story, what has happened so far. So we will do a brief recap in a moment. I realize I still owe him 2 common items, which I think at the end I need to roll for 2 common items. I keep forgetting. Last time we rolled the 1 common item at the end. However, this time he still owed 2 from the first session that he hasn't gotten yet. So let's get into the recap and then get going. All right. So, for our recap, Valzen made his way into town. He was sneaking around primarily unnoticed. He bribed 2 Kuatoa. So, actually, let's get back a little more to the name of the town. The name of the town was Viltharn Kalaza. And what we know about the town is it's rich, houses built on stone into rock, its wealth is clearly on display. Everybody must be in by dusk. There was currently a wedding going on, and the town has an issue with curses. We don't know much about it. It hasn't been really talked about yet. We know that Valzen returned home, acquiring the scroll that was sought for him to capture from Bayana Kanud, leader of the League of Ardent Dawn. He gets back into the town, and last what occurred is, sneaking his way into town primarily unnoticed. He bribed 2 Kuatoa in town, telling him he kind of I'm not going to say bribe them, but deceived them into thinking they would be welcome at the wedding to kind of try and push them away, and they kind of took the bait and decided to go and kind of follow them. Then, as he was continuing on home to try and find his wife and children, the scroll was stolen by 2 tieflings who swiped while Valzen didn't notice. The tieflings headed toward... so there was an earlier pickpocket attempt in town where a human attempted to pickpocket Valzen, but he caught that person. So at this point, being that it occurred twice within kind of 2 corridors of the town, Valzen was wondering, is something going on? Are people coming after me? Is something going on here? So maybe someone else desired the scroll altogether. That's something that Valzen is trying to figure out. So anyway, Valzen makes his way into his house and notices one of the art pieces were off in his house, which is odd because his wife keeps things fairly perfect and tidy within their house. She managed to leave a note, I guess within the chaos or prior to the chaos, saying that, looks like people are approaching, that they were possibly going to be abducted or something was going to happen, but she doesn't say by who, because she didn't have time to scroll those things down for him. So Valzen moves around the house further, kind of discovers an insignia from the League. So he's starting to think that maybe somebody from House Kalarn and the League may be working together. Maybe one of them have kidnapped his family. Something's going on between, he believes, the House and the League, but he doesn't know. That's just his deduction. While he was there, Irina Freth, a friend of Valzen, who's also with the Ardent Dawn, not with House Kalarn, says that says to head to Bayana. Someone is working with House Kalarn and is playing both sides, at least from what she understands. Most likely it's not people high up in the hierarchy, at least that's what she thinks. She doesn't know. And they most likely have Valzen's family. She's not real sure. But she decides to head to the Dawn without Valzen saying she'll meet him there, and she kind of goes her own way. She just kind of wanted to meet with him and kind of let him know what was going on. So, Valzen, while traveling, acquired a healing potion and arrived at the location of the Ardent Dawn, which We know the location of the Ardent Dawn, based on what we randomly rolled, was kind of inside a waterfall, so it must be in like some kind of cave system. Hidden to the common eye, and it's a day's travel from home. So I guess they're trying to keep whatever they're doing concealed. Valzen is greeted by another member of the Dawn who runs out and hands him a letter. We don't find out. We don't know who that is, but it's indicating a possible location to where his family is. And he's notified he must go meet Bayana at once, to the person who ran out. So basically, what we're doing is from there we are resuming with what has occurred with. Is Valzen going to find out where his family is? Are we going to, what are we going to find out? All subject to change and, or subject to, I guess, explore in this episode of Sins of the Father and the 2024 5e solo playthrough that we're doing. So I have this OneNote ready as we capture things to kind of jot for myself. I also have pen and paper. Just a quick note, eventually my goal is I want to have a large table and write out things and be more manual instead of so digital. It makes it convenient, but my objective is to do that. I just don't have a large table right now to do that, but my hopes are to go that route in the future. So anyway, with that, let's go ahead and get started on our session. So lastly here, let's go ahead and look at Valzen, who currently has max hit points. We did add a healing potion in, I believe. Yep, there it is, a potion of healing. So my first thought is, I'm thinking instead of waiting, we should actually roll those 2 common items now, because they may benefit him. So let's go ahead and go to the tool. And where I actually put all the items in my tool is under, let's see, the dungeon here. So we have common items here. So a wand, so he, technically from last time, and all these common items come out of the Dungeon Master's Guide under common items. So Wand of Pyrotechnics. And one more. What do we get? A spell scroll level 1. Okay. So a random spell scroll level 1 and a Wand of Pyrotechnics. I don't know what spell that's going to be yet, so for the sake of that we'll hold off. But let's see if we can add that Wand of Pyrotechnics here. Wand of Py. Here we go. And there it is. Excellent. So now we have the Wand of Pyrotechnics, which has 7 of 7 charges. So on a 7 charges while holding it, you can take a magic action to expend 1 charge and create a harmless burst of multicolored light at a point you can see up to 120 feet away. This burst is accompanied by a crackling noise that can be heard up to 300 feet away. Let me see. The wand regains 1d6 plus 1 expended charges daily at dawn. So being he's a drow and has dancing lights, I'm not sure how advantageous this will be for him. But we have it, so be it. Okay. Just taking a look at his inventory here real quick. So he's got a book, fine clothes, a dagger, leather, an orb, which is his arcane focus, potion of healing, sickle, signet ring, and the Wand of Pyrotechnics. In his backpack, he does have book, ink pen, lamp, oil, parchment, and tinderbox. He did have the scroll, which we had last time, which was stolen. I do have his wife's sheet up as well. We may get her tonight. I don't know. I guess it just really depends on what occurs in the story. All right, so now we've looked at inventory. And taking a look at this real quick. Getting that squared away. All right, so let's head back and start creating some story. Okay. So Valzen is greeted by someone outside, and we know that he was handed a letter that indicates, based on what we read earlier, a possible location to where his family is. Hands him a letter as to a possible location as to where his family is. So Valzen hasn't looked at it yet, so we're going to say that Valzen very quickly opens the scroll and looks at this scroll. Is it likely that Valzen is going to know who wrote this scroll based on looking at it and deducing? Let's see, based on his character sheet, I think that would be an investigation roll to see if he would know who this is here. So let's go ahead and see via investigation. That's a 9. That's not very good. So I'm going to say that it's probably unlikely that he's going to know who wrote this with a 9 investigation, but let's see what our virtual GM says. Does Valzen know who wrote this letter? He does. But an unexpected event takes place at a very good or bad time. So with a 9, he does, because we think it's unlikely, but still managed to get it with a 9. So Valzen does recognize who wrote the letter. So prior to meeting Bayana, he knows who wrote the letter. Who is it? Let's see if we can get a descriptor and a focus down here that will help us see who wrote the letter. A guarded organism. So somebody who's guarded. So the first thought that came to my mind with the guarded organism is somebody who would probably be in leadership. So possibly based on what we know, it was possibly someone from House Kalarn, or even someone within the League of Ardent Dawn. So we didn't think it was leadership in one of those houses, but apparently in one of those organizations, but it is leadership. So I guess the question is, based on what Valzen sees and based on now knowing it's someone from leadership, I guess he knows. So I guess then the question is for the Oracle, let's go back. Is it the leader of, we're going to set this to equal at a 5+, which is likely, but it's really equal at 5+ because it rolls out of a D10 for the Oracle. Is the writing from the leader of House Kalarn? Is the writing from Zaran Kalarn? Yes, it is. So the House Kalarn leader, and let me just remember his name here. Zaran, I think it's Zaran. Yep, Xarann. So Zaran Kalarn from House Kalarn has wrote this letter. Valzen looks at the letter and braces it as he's reading it, and then grabs it really tightly as if he's crunching it. And he's just, at this point, he's frustrated now. And he says, "Rats! I knew that dirty dog was going to do something eventually. Tracking my family, tracking me. Something must be done. Enough is enough." And as the anger stirs inside Valzen, he starts to kind of black out a little bit and kind of phase out from what's happening for a moment. And then kind of like comes out and then comes back and then comes out and then comes back. And he kind of just, shakes his head a little bit and takes a deep breath, not recognizing what's going on. Just odd to him. And it was kind of the same feeling he got when he opened that scroll, minus he doesn't have it anymore. And so knowing this, so he's phasing out, back and forth. Not physically phasing out, but mentally. Kind of, doing a blackout. He's prepared and ready to meet Bayana. So he looks at the person outside, who we have yet to name, and says, I shall go in and meet Bayana now. Could you tell me where she is, please? And the servant of the Ardent Dawn says, she's in the main commissary, sir. Valzen kind of nods briefly and says thank you, and proceeds forward into the Ardent Dawn. The Ardent Dawn system, I'm assuming, is probably some kind of like cave. Yeah, so it's kind of cave quarters. And we're actually going to go with what's here. So this settlement here, let me see if I make sure I'm sharing that. Yes, I am. So the settlement is, their settlement is obviously, we know, is within a waterfall, the Ardent Dawn. So Ardent Dawn was in a cave system. First impression, so as he's entering, he can look and he can see the bodies of criminals hanging from walls. Bodies of criminals. And we're going to say other beings hanging. We know that the ruling leadership is Bayana, Knud. She leads. We're not worried about the primary race. That's going to be mixed. It's going to be mixed races for the Ardent Dawn location. They also have problems with cursed and being cursed. So it might be a curse might be the general area. There's problems with curses in the general area. We are not going to do a random settlement event here currently. So a custom here. All of them wear masks, and it's an insult to show one's face. All wear masks. Insult to show one's face. So as Valzen enters the Ardent Dawn, we know that he, as we're going to say in the entryway, they have different types of masks. What do the masks look like is what I'm wondering. So what do our masks look like here? Looking for a descriptor. Let's see. Mysterious void. So it's maybe they have something to do with, I'm trying to look at a barren life form. Maybe all the masks are empty. Like it's kind of like a Phantom of the Opera type mask where they're all empty masks. I'm thinking that the masks they're going to use are empty, and they do it purposely to say that like each of them are like empty vessels based on their beliefs. Empty vessels waiting to be filled. So part of their belief system is they're all empty vessels waiting to be filled. I know that the Ardent Dawn, I was playing around with, I try not to design too much ahead of time, but I'm thinking that they're going to be something of like necromancy. They're necromancers. So perhaps they're looking to be filled with like undeath or demonic. Valzen slips on his mask, as is customary when one enters the Ardent Dawn headquarters, and starts to walk through the cave system as he looks for Bayana and getting to the commissary or the general area. He recognizes Bayana. Bayana over there, and she's kind of leading some others in some kind of, I guess, ritual. And she looks up and sees Valzen for a moment, and she looks at all the others who are there, and she says to them all, "Leave. We will finish this at another time. I must talk with Valzen." And being her voice commands these folks, and she kind of has this commanding presence. They immediately get up, and they all kind of in a line hurriedly kind of go off to the side there. So as Valzen approaches Bayana, the first thing she says to him is, "Where is the scroll? I do not see the scroll. Did you get it?" Valzen nods at Bayana and says, "I did get the scroll, but it was stolen from me." She says, "What do you mean, stolen? How does one just get something like that stolen? It means everything, Valzen. How could you do such a thing?" And Valzen explains to Bayana, "I went home. While I was going to get the scroll, unfortunately someone followed me from House Kolarn, accused me of conspiracy, to which I had to take care of. Went back immediately to try and find my family." So Bayana responds back to him, "So you didn't immediately report here, but instead went to the family first? Is that what means more to you, Valzen? Your family before the Ardent Dawn?" And Valzen kind of puts his head down for a moment, and we're going to see he's going to try and do a deception roll, because he probably favors both of them evenly, but at this point in the situation he's in, he's probably going to try and see if he can kind of force that from her. So let's see, a deception roll. Okay, so that is a natural 20 for deceiving Bayana. So we're not even going to consult the Oracle. At this point, Valzen, talking to Bayana, knows he deceives her very well and tells her that no, Bayana, the Ardent Dawn is my first priority, followed by my family, as you know, and has always been. However, I was worried about them and had to go. My apologies, ma'am. And he bows his head down low as to show respect to Bayana. You could the fury in her voice and the fury in her eyes, even though he doesn't see it, can be seen, I guess, or it's just the presence is known as Valzen knows. He can feel that fury on him, but knowing that, he feels the Ardent Dawn comes first, her fury cools a little. And the next thing she says to him is, "Well, we have to get it back, firstly. Secondly, did you read it? Please tell me you did not open it, Valzen." Valzen now is going to try and deceive again, because he did open it, and we know that he did open it. So we're going to go in and see if he manages to deceive again, lying and saying he didn't. He rolls a 7. I'm going to think it's very unlikely that his opportunity to deceive her is there. So we're going to go ahead and see if did he actually deceive her. So, fair Oracle, very unlikely that he deceived her in telling her he did not open it. And no, he does not deceive her. Does not at all. She looks at him, enraged even more, and says, "Not only did you not get the scroll, but now you're telling me that you looked at it. You looked at it, Valzen. How dare you?" And Valzen kind of pauses for a moment, not knowing what to say, and he says, "I only opened it for a moment. I'm sorry, Bayana. I wanted to see what it was. You didn't tell me what was in it." And now she just so flabbergasted, furrows her brow. She says, "What you did with the scroll, it was a one-time use. It can never be replaced. Your void has been filled, Valzen, and you have a power you know nothing about. And now Valzen is taken aback for a moment. And he says, what do you mean? What has occurred? What have I done? What was in the scroll? Is Bayana... So now the question is Bayana likely to tell him the truth as to what has occurred? So will Bayana tell him the truth? I'm going to say it's equal. Yes, no. Does Bayana tell him the truth? She does. Okay. So Bayana goes and decides to tell Valzen that the scroll, once read, and it doesn't have to be read audibly, allows the user to be open to forces of possession, and asks him if has anything occurred to him that has felt different from what he's felt at this point. Valzen looks at her and says, I did feel a rather strong intelligence change when I read over the scroll. But other than that, I feel okay. I don't feel different. And she looks and she says, Have you felt any separation from your body since you read it, Valzen? Has anything else been different from you? And Valzen kind of thinks about it for a moment and says, well, when I was reading the notes, and he kind of pulls it out and hands it to her, as it's all crumpled now from when he kind of, grabbed it, and in his anger, just kind of the whitening of his knuckles almost at that time when he crumbled that paper, he hands it to her. She looks at it. And she says, Sir Kalarn seems to finally want to make his move against the Dawn. I think it's time that we teach Kalarn a lesson and get your family back, perhaps. What do you think, Valzen? And Valzen says, immediately, Bayana, please, immediately. We must get my family. I will forever be in debt to the Dawn. You name it, I will do it. Please help me get my family. Let's take revenge on House Kalarn. Remove them from service, finally. And perhaps we can take this town, make it ours. Brianna looks, her eyes light up for a moment, and she says, I never thought I would want to take the town. But now that you mentioned it, Veltharn Kalaza, home of the Ardent Dawn, a place where we can go and no longer have to hide in caves. I like it. But what about all the civilians? What shall we do? Valzen, thinking carefully, says, what kind of action or theme? Let's ask the Oracle. Trapped terrain. I like this. Valzen says, perhaps we can use them. We don't have many bodies anymore. As you can see, we have them all in the house. All in the halls. They've been exhausted. Perhaps we can use them for our needs as needed. But say nothing to them. Let them live in peace. It could be a peaceful shift of power. But, and then Bayana responds to him, but they are scared of us. Kalarn has warned him of some of the trickery we've done. Valzen says, let me take care of that. I think we should be okay. Bayana kind of nods for a moment, gets back to Valzen, and says, when shall we plan on doing this? Valzen says, I think we should strike in the night. I don't think Kalarn will be prepared for that. Or perhaps... I'm open to suggestions, dear Bayana. And so what does Bayana suggest in relation to their attack? Does Bayana, does she think it's also fair to go in the evening time? So would Brianna also agree to Velzen's wanting to attack House Kalarn in the evening? Yes, but an unexpected takes place at a very good or bad moment. Brianna says, yes, I will assemble some of the finest casters we have. We will go. You must lead the way. Go rest for the evening. Go back to your home. Meet with the master. Attend to the rituals that you must during the day tomorrow. After the rituals, we will strike. Is there any exits or entrances into House Kalarn that could help us get in there? Do you know of any? Would Velzen know of any ways to get into House Kalarn that may help the Ardent Dawn folk who are trying to launch the attack so that they don't have to do it frontwardly? We're going to say equal again. Yes, and a useful item is found or lost. Velzen says, yes, and as a matter of fact, I have a key. There's a basement around back. It's not very guarded ever. Perhaps I will leave the key in my home. During the day while I'm there entertaining Zaran and the others, perhaps you can go into the basement. Partake in looking for my family. There are some are located in the house, I believe, as well. But I don't know if I'm going to be welcome. The problem is being he sent this letter, he's going to expect me. I don't know if he's likely to imprison me, what he's likely to do. And Bayana says, No matter, Valzen. We will be there in the evening. We will free you. Valzen nods and says, Okay. Okay, Bayana. Sounds good. I'll make my way home. Rest for the evening. Return to the keep in the morning and confront Zaran, and trust that by evening time you all will be there to assist me in getting my family and relinquishing the house once and for all. Zaran has finally met his demise. And Bayana kind of nods, and they both smile at each other, though they can't see the smile, but they can kind of see it, maybe through the eye holes of the masks that they're wearing. Valzen curtsies and says, Adieu. Farewell, Bayana. She says, Likewise, Valzen. Be safe in your travel home. Valzen makes his way out. As Valzen makes his way out, is it fair that nothing else would come up as he's making his way out? So nothing else would prompt him to kind of stop and need attention. So I'm going to say it's probably very likely. Yes, so he manages to make his way out of there. Nothing else grabs his attention. Gets to the exit, takes off the mask that he was wearing, as is customary within the Ardent Dawn location there. Hangs it up, exits the cave, and gets to the location on the map where we were. So let's go ahead and share that map. All right. So we said that Valzen was a day's travel from where he was, and pardon the blurriness of the map. So we're gonna put him back, not even a day's travel, but he's gonna just travel up one. Oh, that is not what we wanted. We just want to go over a little bit. And Valzen travels just a tad. So he was here. We're not going to say it's that far. Come on. Okay, I'll have to adjust this later. He makes a day travel and gets back into town. On the day that he travels, I just want to validate that where he's traveling to Nothing occurred. So let's go ahead and go back to our tool to see if something occurs when he traveled via hex travel. So, let me see here. Nothing occurs for him. Actually, there is an encounter that occurs there, but it's only a one-day travel, so it's just going to be straight to town. We're not doing any intermediary travel in between. And makes his way back into town. As he makes his way back into town, I'm not going to even say it's a day travel for him. How long was it? We said it was a few hours travel last time, right? So Velzen takes a few hours travel, gets back to town. Yep, it was a few hours from the Ardent Dawn to his home, or from his home to the Ardent Dawn, and from the Ardent Dawn back to his home. Late in the evening now, we remember that nobody comes out during the evening time, but he seems to not mind it much. Arrives back in town in the evening. The streets are clean at this point. Would there be any guards currently going on in the town? So would there be guards in the town right now? Let's see here. I'm gonna say that it's equal chances. Are there guards currently wandering the streets? Yes. Okay. Are there guards currently in view of Velzen? No. Excellent. So we know that there's no guards in view of Velzen currently, which is good. Is Velzen likely to make his way to his house undisturbed at this point, being the streets are cleaned out? No. Okay, so let's go ahead and travel a little bit. Okay. So the streets are mainly clean. We said there were no guards in the vicinity from where you could see here. So we're going to bring them over to here. Okay. So now we're going to ask the question again, now that we've kind of moved to a place where we're at a new visual here. Is there anything here? Are there guards here that would be in sight here of Velzen? Again, keeping it, this says likely, but it really should be equal 5+. Yes, there are guards here. Okay. Okay, so we know that there are guards in view of Velzen. Velzen would like to try and sneak by and see if we can not have to worry about them here. So let's go ahead and see if we can sneak by. And our sneak's terrible. A 7. Oh, fair GM. I'm going to say it's very unlikely. Are we able to sneak by these guards? Or, I guess the first question is, have they perceived us? Equal chances they perceived us? Yes, they have perceived us. Okay. Are we likely to sneak by them? Rolling a 7. No. Okay. So, being they see him, they know he's there. Do they approach him? I'm going to say very likely that they approach him at this point. The streets are clean. It is not common for people to be out. Actually, I'm going to say it's almost certain. Do the guards approach Velzen? Yes, they do. Okay. So the guards approach Velzen. Are these guards hostile toward Velzen at this point? I'm going to say it's pretty likely that they're going to be hostile toward Velzen. So, Velzen, are the guards hostile toward Velzen? No, they're not. So these guards approach Velzen. Is how many guards are there? Is there more than three? Is there less than three? Yes. So there are less than three guards. Okay. They're not hostile. This is very good. Okay, so we know that there's three guards, not hostile, or less than three. Less than three, is there more than one? There isn't, so it's just one. Does Valzen know this person from town? Yes. Being Valzen knows this person, are they on a first name exchange basis? Yes, they are. And they're not hostile. Okay, so being he's on a first name basis, he knows it's a guard. He tried to kind of want to sneak past until he realized that it's actually somebody he knows and it's a friend. They approach him. He communicates. Let's try and get the name of this person here, because we don't have a name for this person yet. So let's get a random drow name. I guess, well, the question is it a drow? No. What race is it? It's a human. Not hostile, human. So let's get a random human name. Random human name generator. Always our handy dandy fantasy name generator. Human. Species names. No, we don't want it like that. Oh, that's a species name. Yeah, that's not right. Human names. Here we go. Roll. We're going to say that it's Roll. Rolshan. Rolshan. So, Rolshan comes up to Valzen. What does Rolshan want to share with Valzen? What does he desire to share with Valzen? A learned friend. He comes up hurriedly to Valzen, learned friend, and lets him know. So they are friends. Running up to Valzen and says, Valzen, I've learned where your family's being kept. And Valzen, his ears get very wide. And he goes, How do you know this? How do you know about my family? Speak, or you may lose your tongue. And he kind of bows his head, because this is primarily a drow encampment. So the fact that he's here as a human and even a guard is kind of amazing in the first place. And he says to Valzen, Zaron took them. They went into your house, ransacked it, and took your family. I tried to tell you earlier, but there was such commotion between the wedding and a commotion in the courtyard, I couldn't come to you. I had to keep my post. And Valzen thanks him for this information. He asks, do you know where they are in the house? So we're going to say that I don't think he's going to know. I mean, I just don't think it's unlikely that Zaron's going to let some guard know. So let's see, does Roll know where his family is? Roll does. Roll knows where his family is. Roll shares with him. Yes, I know where your family is. And let's see if we can get a room. Dining hall. Roll says, they're being held in Zaron's private dining hall. Within his house. And Valzen, infuriated, knowing that his family is in someone else's place, his dining hall. Again, the whites of his knuckles, just, you can see him for a moment, and his eyes again start to, he just kind of blacks out, just in anger, and just phases out according to him. So when I say phase, it's kind of like blacking out. Valzen just blacks out for a moment in rage. But to the outside, Roll sees that his eyes are kind of lighting up green, almost solid green, and then comes back to. And he looks at Valzen and goes, "What was that, Valzen? What, your eyes? What was that?" And Valzen kind of rubs his eyes for a moment and says, "What do you mean?" I got so angry. I had a bout of anger." And he says, "Your eyes, they turned a hue of green. I've never seen anything like that. Your hands were clenching each other so hard." And he looks down, and he can see his hands, they grab so hard into his body that the fingernails almost create a little kind of like, they broke the skin, and there's little pieces of blood there that he didn't even feel. And he looks and he says, "Roll, I don't know what's going to happen, but you've always been a friend to me. Please, leave this place. I can't tell you why. Just leave this place. Leave it immediately." So he's trying to convince Roll to leave. For the sake of Roll, let me see. We're going to do a persuasion check to see if he can persuade Roll to get out of there, being he's his friend. So again, he's telling Roll, "Please go. Don't stay here." An 8. Does an 8 handy dandy Oracle GM let us know if Roll is going to stay or leave? With a 7, I'm going to say unlikely. Does Valzen persuade Roll to leave? Yes, he does. With a 7. Roll listens, looks at him, and I guess whatever he saw in Valzen maybe creeped him out. And he looks at Valzen and says, "I'll leave immediately. I should not be leaving my post, but Valzen, you've always been a good friend to me, and I trust you. The Drow have always treated the humans poorly, but you've always been fair, and for that I'm very appreciative. Thank you, Valzen." And he kind of takes off. He asks, before he goes, Roll. 1 moment, please. Before you go, is there anything else you know that could assist me with with getting into the house to get my family?" And I'm going to say that it's equal, that he may know something. He does know something. Sealed fortification. So he says, "Yes, I do know where they're keeping your family is sealed and has been fortified." Well, he doesn't have the British accent. Where family is sealed and has been fortified. Valzen asks, Do you perhaps know what my family has been sealed in within the dining room?" No, he doesn't know. And something they think to be one way is actually another. And it's an extreme. So they are sealed, but it's something wild, which we don't know yet. Something possibly terrible inside the dining room. Valzen thanks Roll and says, "Thank you, Roll. You've given me more than I needed. I'm going to go home and make first light presents at House Kalan. Thank you so much, Roll." Roll bows. Valzen bows lower, which is a major thing because Drow think everything most of the time is virtually subservient to them, and they don't have a desire to, I guess, they think everything's lower than them. They think they're the upper species of the echelon, if you will. So that's a big thing for Valzen to kind of bow. Valzen bows, looks at the cobblestone streets that they have, looks at all the fine work as he makes his way home. Knowing that his family's being held, he's in a rage. Goes into his home. So let's go back to our map. I guess the question would be now, does Valzen make it home peacefully from here, or are there any other encounters? So does Valzen make it home without any other encounters? I'm going to say it's equal. He does not. Okay. So does Valzen make it down the next corridor without interruption? Yes, he does. Okay. So let's go ahead and move him down the next corridor. No interruptions, because we know that the great GM Oracle has told us this. Alright, so we're going to go down here. And we know that his home is right here. Let me see, I want to ping it. So let's get rid of this. We know that his home last time was... How do I ping? Oh, ping, oh, ping, oh, ping. Tools. Okay. So we're just going to say his home is right here. So not waste time. Oh. And a short of breath. Alright, here we go. Bang. Boom. That's his home right there. Okay. So, does Valzen make his way down the next corridor? We said he doesn't. So, does Valzen make his way down the next corridor? I guess, does Valzen make his way down the next corridor peacefully? No. Okay. What would be in his way this time? Would it be another set of guards? No. But an unexpected event takes place at a very good or bad moment. Okay, well, I mean, it's not a good moment now. So what unexpected event could occur? Antagonize safety. Okay, so perhaps someone runs up to him quietly as he's trying to come out. Let's see, antagonize safety. So we mentioned that the town earlier, the town has, let's see, the town has issues with curses, and there's a horrible horror refusing to be named that plagues the town. So then here's the question that I have. Is this horrible horror the thing greeting Valzen right now? We know there's a horrible horror that plagues the town. Everybody goes in at night. Is this antagonizing thing that's trying to endanger him? Is it this horrible horror? It's not. Does it have to do with the horrible horror or the curses? Yes. So it's not the horrible horror itself, but it is something that has to do with it. Okay, so then here's my question to you. Being that we know it has to do with the horrible horror or curses, does it have to do specifically with the horrible horror? Okay, no. Does it have to do with what's going on with the curses? No. Okay, so that doesn't make sense based on what we're doing. So we're going to go ahead and funnel that roll and say yes. It has to do with... okay, so the next one. Well, does it have to do with the horrible horror? No. Does it have to do with the curses? Yes. Okay. So something with the curses is antagonizing him. Valzen is greeted by some kind of creature, I'm thinking. Is it a creature? Like some kind of creature that has to do with a curse? Yes. Okay. Does this creature want to harm him? No. Is the creature friendly? I'm going to say that it's unlikely that this creature's friendly. Okay, the creature's not friendly. Does the creature want to fight him? The creature does want to fight. Okay, so we clearly are going to get into a fight here. Let's go ahead and go to our... So here, I have a random creature generator that can generate a random creature from you with random stats. And kind of gives me an idea of what it is. So we're going to go ahead and refresh this. It says that... So I'm doing a CR 1/8. It's just one creature. It's a small beast. And we have its stats here. Let's see, HP 7, AC 11. Okay, so the first thing we're going to do is roll initiative for both of them. Okay, so let's go ahead and share. Okay, so let's go ahead and roll initiative. Where's that? -1. So Valzen gets a natural 20. We'll go ahead and roll for the creature. They get a 13. So Valzen gets to go first. Valzen, looking at this creature, tries to talk with it, but I guess the question is, prior to them fighting, very quickly, am I able to talk with the creature? Is the creature willing to listen to me? Yes. And a change to the physical environment, something happens. So Valzen shouts out to the creature, "What are you here for?" And I guess I should say not shouts, because he's trying not to be too loud. As there's, you know, the scenery is trying to keep quiet. Is the creature also being quiet? I'm curious of that. Is the creature not making a lot of noise as well? Yes. Okay. So they're managing to kind of stay hidden away. The creature's willing to listen to him. Valzen, looking over, says, "What do you want with me? What do you mean?" Is the creature likely to answer, even though he spoke to it? No. And we know that a change, we already saw that, no, and a change is occurring to the creature. We're going to say that the creature's growing in size a little bit as he tries to talk to it. As Valzen sees this, he knows he needs to get rid of this thing quick. It's going to start drawing attention. So what he does now is he lights his hands up. You see him start to cast and just... And he starts to kind of make the symbiotic gestures for an Eldritch Blast to take place. And then you see him release this Eldritch Blast on this creature. So let's see if he hits the creature here. So we know that the... what was the AC of this creature here? We said that the AC was 11. And it had an HP of 7. Okay. Valzen gets this ready, gets that all together, and launches his Eldritch Blast at this creature. So does he hit the creature? With an AC of 7... Or excuse me, at an AC of 11, he goes to launch at this creature, launches his beam, and it doesn't quite make contact with the creature. The creature starts kind of charging at him. The beast does, and the beast goes to swipe at him with a claw. So let's go ahead and do a roll for a d20. There is no plus to hit, and it goes to swipe. Valzen dashing to the side, not getting strike. Valzen goes back in, having his Eldritch Blast kind of ready at the tip of his tongue, his hand still glowing, goes to strike at him again. You see another projectile come out. And he fails again. Jeez, come on, guys. Why can't I roll good tonight? The creature's coming back in for another swipe, goes to swipe at Valzen, and doesn't swipe at Valzen as well. So we have this ongoing exchange of back and forth with failure after failure after failure. Valzen goes again. Finally hits with a 12. Let's see the damage. The creature only has 7 HP. and he manages to blast this thing. Silently, Valzen kind of aims that beam right through the creature's, I guess, I will say it's torso. It's the largest part of the creature. It was a small creature, but enough that he can kind of aim it silently. He didn't want to hit anything else to try and create noise, obviously trying to keep things quiet, and takes care of that creature. The creature falls. Valzen goes very quickly to run up to the creature. And so I guess my first question that I'm going to have is he going to recognize this creature? Is Valzen going to recognize this creature at all? Does it seem like familiar to him? I'm going to say very unlikely, but let's see. He does recognize it. And the qualifier text doesn't really help us, but he does recognize this creature. He does recognize the creature. Does the creature have to do with something of the Ardent Dawn's doing? I'm going to say equal, 50-50. Yes. Does the creature have to do with necromantic type things? No. Okay. Perhaps, is it a different type of school of magic? Let's see. We're going to have him roll an Arcana and see if perhaps he can get it from there. A 9. Does a 9 tell us what type of magic this is? I'm going to say unlikely. It does. Okay. And an unexpected change is involved. So, since it's unexpected change, we're going to say that this creature typically is used by the League to help them. Kind of like a find familiar type deal. Except normally it's friendly, and this time it wasn't. Like, it kind of lost its mind or something. So, creature used by Ardent Dawn. I guess, like, seemed sickly and out of mind, which is odd. Out of mind. Very odd. Perhaps the curse, because remember we were talking about earlier, it had something to do with the curses. Perhaps the curse shifted its mind. Curse shifted its mind. Perhaps this curse shifts minds. Does this curse, does it cause, like, minds to decay? No. Okay. Does it, being that it doesn't cause the minds to decay, does, I guess, does the curse cause the being to lose functionality over itself? Yes. Okay. So this curse, whatever it is in town, the curse causes people to lose their bearings. Causes people to lose bearings of themselves. Lose bearings. Okay, so we know that. Okay, so we know this. The curse is kind of probably what influenced this creature. Being that Valzen has dispatched this, Valzen would like to hide this little creature's body kind of in an alleyway or something. Is he able to do that successfully? Yes. Okay. Valzen, go ahead. Trying to, again, keep quiet, keep things steady. Takes this little body of this little creature. Remember we said it was tiny. And he drags it over to the side. And he hides it. And decides to head home. As Valzen heads home for the night, he is shifting in bed, knowing that his family is being held in a place in House Kalarn, and it doesn't settle well with him at all. So here's my question: is Valzen able to sleep remotely? I'm going to say it's almost impossible. No. Okay. And the result is extreme. And the action theme prompt is secure power. Valzen, as he lays in bed, he's just grabbing at his hands again, and he's just shifting, thinking, his stomach turning, laying there knowing that he's going to attack tomorrow. He's so impatient. And he starts to feel this magic stir within him, and he starts to black out. As he blacks out, the only thing on his mind is he needs to secure this power and his family. So, from a visual, outside perspective, watching Valzen, we're going to separate ourselves for a minute. Valzen suddenly rises up out of bed, sweaty, eyes neon green, hands with some blood on them, and he gets up out of the bed, and almost like he floats out of the bed, and he starts chanting in this language. He wouldn't even know what he currently doesn't know what he's doing, and he is just chanting, and suddenly this gate opens behind him, and outside his house there's a gate that starts to open, and the gate is extremely large. Let's go ahead and go to roll 20. I'm trying to think of an effect we can do here to kind of show. Let's see, lighting. I don't want to place window. Don't want to do that. Effects. Let's see if we can do some kind of magic. Nope, that's not what I wanted. I didn't want a breath. Let's do a glow. Let's see if we can do this. Okay, so like that's kind of small. I want a bigger one. This green gate just starts to open up, and this large creature comes out. This infernal being. I mean, it's just huge, as big as a house. Valzen, still not knowing what's occurring. Well, let's ask the Almighty Oracle. Almighty Oracle. Does Valzen briefly get glimpses of what is happening to him as he's chanting in this language, currently literally like flying, and this being is coming through this portal? Is it likely that he can break through just briefly to kind of know what's going on? No. Okay. So Valzen continues to talk to this being, whatever it is. We don't know yet, but it's large, fairly large. And Valzen looks over, and at this point now, there's no more hiding. The town is probably most likely knows what's going on. And this creature just starts pummeling through the town, destroying building after building. Anybody who starts to run, this creature is just so large and so beyond the size and scope of things, is just wiping people out left and right. And here's Valzen kind of behind it, speaking in a tongue that he wouldn't even recognize. And his townsfolk are looking at him just completely afraid of what's going on. And those who recognize him can briefly kind of tell that it's him. As more of the town is getting destroyed, is it likely that Valzen may have moments where he can kind of come to and see, or at least mentally know, kind of presently, that even though what's going on is going on, he can like see as a viewer, even though he doesn't have control quite yet? Yes. Okay. So, and he knows that chaos is going on right now. Chaotic supply. We're going to say chaos. So perhaps he's now deducing that the vision he saw from before was him. And he is destroying this town. He is destroying his home. He is watching his home be destroyed right in front of him by this creature that apparently he's speaking to. even though he doesn't understand it, inside, normally he wouldn't care. Normally this would be okay with him. This is the power he's been seeking this whole time. There's just one problem. This is his home. And his family's here. And this thing, he can't seem to get a hold of it, and he can't seem to get a hold of himself. He's lost control. And he's fighting. As this thing is just going through the town, taking care of innocents and guards and you name it alike. So the whole plan that was going on with Bayana just went into the garbage. Because at this point, there's no hiding what's going on. And Velzen and this creature are making their way toward House Kalarn. Okay. So, being that they're heading that way, I think for a great cliffhanger, we're going to end it there tonight. Velzen and this giant infernal demon creature beast, whatever it is, destroying his home. Probably a quarter to half of the town, we're going to say, just in the thematics, has been just wiped out. Hundreds of, not hundreds, but we'll get hundreds of people probably gone. As he floats beside this creature, I mean, it's just him beside this creature. He's up there, and he's just floating in the air. His eyes solid green, and he's just chanting. And he's like, he's trying to fight it, but he just is like, at this point now, watching himself, looking around, and he could see everything, but he doesn't quite understand what's coming out. Just making his way toward House Kalarn. And he, inside himself, he can feel like a tear is running down his eye as he watches the destruction and chaos of his home. Not only of his home, but of his countrymen and people, where he does care for these people because they're from his home. And asks himself, what have I gotten into? What have I done? I don't know, but what have I done? And then all you hear him say as we go to close out is his wife's name. He says, Mithara, Larry Lynn, the Farron. And he kind of shouts out those names as tears coming down his eyes. What have I done? See you all next week.